Ready?
Yes.
Mason County Joint Planning Commission is now in session. Roll call, please.
Roll call. John Hutchins. Here. John Jess.
Here.
Leslie Meyer.
Here.
David Reed.
Here.
Kirby Rosser.
Yes, sir.
Lindsay Phillips.
Here.
Rick Lawrence. Gerald Woods.
Here.
George Larger. I'm here. Michael Clark.
Robin Rice is here in his presence, or in his place.
Before I ask for a motion for the minutes for the March 6th regular meeting, is there any corrections, additions, or deletions need to be made?
I have one on page 2, second sentence from the top. It should just say handled instead of handled.
Page 2, second sentence. Yeah.
Okay, hearing nothing more, do I have a motion to accept the minutes with the additional change?
I move to accept.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Old business, matter of record, findings of fact, zoning map amendment, Melanie Denham, 151 West Maple Leaf Road. Is there any additions, corrections, or deletions to that? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the matter of record, findings of fact?
So moved.
Leslie, do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Let's go ahead and get you guys to sign those before we move on, since they will know minutes. Yours. You still the secretary? Okay.
Under new business, public hearing, zoning map amendment application, BNC Auto Rental, 2 lots, 1147 US 6268. Need a motion to go out of a regular meeting into a public hearing.
So moved. I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
John? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're in the public hearing portion of the meeting.
Okay. Everyone, thank you for the first and only public hearing that we're holding at the meeting tonight. It is in regards to a zoning map amendment application for BMC Auto Rental for the 2 lots located at 1147 US 6268. At this time, I would like to offer into the record evidence that notice was made for this public hearing. Here is an affidavit demonstrating that I sent first-class mail to all adjoining property owners. Also one that was returned. Here is an image of the sign I erected on the property. And here is a copy of the digital tear sheet used to generate the advertisement in the Ledger Independent. Really small, right there at the bottom. All those who wish to speak on this matter, we require that you state your names and addresses for the record. Chairperson Reed, since we have such a well-attended public hearing, would you like to adopt the public hearing proposal that I put forth back in 2018? I don't know that it's as well attended that we need to limit people's speaking time, but I did put cards down there to make a list for people to fill out, so that you have a nice list to call on people as they. So I think what we'll do is, before we continue, if you would like to speak, please fill out your name and your address on these note cards. And then, as you speak, we'll ask that you come up here, and I'll swear you in. So we'll give you a little time to do that.
Is this for this issue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This is just to, it looks like this is a relatively well-attended public hearing compared to what you usually have. So this is just to keep it straight who's speaking and so that he can call it. So if you think that you want to speak, I mean, you can always fill out one later. Go ahead and fill out a card. Please. What he'll do is he'll put numbers on each one.
I'm just gonna get names, so I can identify them on my notes. You can give me addresses and stuff. So I can drive them to the findings.
No, that's fine. Attorneys don't, you guys are officers in court. Look at the applicant.
Right.
Has everyone filled out a card?
One more.
Okay.
We're almost done.
I think this is actually the applicant. And Dolores is there. Okay. So we covered that. So at this time, why don't we swear in you both, since you all are the applicants.
Yes, that'd be fine, yeah.
Stand up. Do you swear otherwise affirm to tell the truth? Please say I do.
I do.
Okay. So at this time, if you guys, whoever is speaking, if you would like to come up here and address them.
Sure.
Well, let me start.
Okay,
yeah.
If you want to clean up anything that I say wrong.
I like it.
Okay. So I think in your packet you have a copy of the site. And basically, it is the property that is beside People's Bank of Kentucky and across the street from Deshays. So it is an obviously well-commercialed area at this point in time. The lot actually goes, what the proposal is the house, will add a garage to it, and the view you have has a garage added to it on the side. The lot itself goes way over in this tree line and then goes way back almost to the house behind it. So it's a huge lot. The proposal is only to use this front portion for a rental car lot. It would only have very minimal cars. We're not a McFarland car lot, but probably 5 to 10
Probably, yeah.
at most. Mostly what they will be doing is delivering vehicles to people who are at repair shops that need a vehicle. The traffic will be very minimal there. They are currently operating out of McFarland, but want to establish their own identity in Maysville and have their own place of business. They are willing to, and there will be lights on the lot facing towards 68 or 62, whatever you're calling it today, but away from, it won't shine toward the back neighbors. They are willing to put up fencing, landscaping, whatever the neighbors would be more comfortable with in order to kind of screen the area from the residential neighborhood that's behind it. And, well, all of it's behind it. Excuse me. So that is the proposal with regards to that. Very minimal impact on the residential area there, but something that would be a little more aesthetically pleasing than what we're looking at now, which is basically a rundown house there. And we're willing to answer any questions that you would have. BMC is a very small company in the car rental business, but they've been in business since 1998. They do have facilities in other counties. They will not be servicing cars there. The most noise, so to speak, would be a vacuum cleaning up a car at that location. There won't be any, real service there that would produce noise. The hours of operation are initially proposed from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Saturdays probably 9 to 1. So again, normal business hours, not anything late in the day that would impact, again, the residents. Any questions for me or for Matt?
That tree line on the back, that's the back of the property line?
Are you talking about this one?
Yeah, right here.
No, the property line actually goes, as I understand it.
You can point it to again, just make sure we're on the same page. So right here, yeah, that's the back, yeah.
Oh, is that the back?
I believe, but it does go over. Actually, this is lot 2, I guess you were talking about. It comes over. So this is technically where I think we're going to put a fence.
Yeah, we're gonna put a fence all along here.
Right.
Along what you're looking
Yeah,
at.
but the property technically does go
All the
kind
way
of over here to the
to that
behind that.
tree.
Okay.
To that tree.
But we don't need that, so we weren't going to use that. We're just going to put the fence there to.
To hide our cars.
Yeah.
I didn't speak.
The first image at the top of page 2 in the staff report shows the approximate property lines. So it does extend back a little bit behind that tree line. Those are just approximate property lines, they're not
Yeah.
super accurate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are you two good?
We're together, yes. You're okay with that?
Okay, Alex Smith.
Good evening. Swear me in.
Yeah, he's an attorney. Do we need to swear him in?
What capacity is he?
I'm speaking on behalf of some residents.
Is
I'm not personally affected by it other than a resident of Maysville. but-
Is it an organization
No.
or, I think as their representative, you can speak, without being sworn in.
Okay. Like I said, my name is Alex Smith. I'm an attorney here in Maysville. I represent Mr. and Mrs. Bragg, Ms. Tierney, and Ms. Bonnie Ford, whose houses are border the proposed amendment change. My clients do oppose this amendment change. Obviously, as you all are aware, any changing in this designation doesn't necessarily just stop with the current owners. That designation will go in effect for the future. They can get this amendment, open the car lot today, sell it, and have any type of business in there. It can be a chain store, it can be a gas station. Obviously, they'd have to get permitted from the city to do all those things, but the zoning laws could theoretically allow those type of businesses to be in place. As far as the infrastructure issue, I mean, this is it would be increased traffic, minimal. It still is an increase in traffic. I know the city did go in and add more storm drainage to help drain the property. Obviously, last night we had some torrential downpours and rain. My clients do have pictures of there still being standing water on the property, so I don't know if that issue has 100% been resolved as far as from when they were here a couple years ago requesting this amendment change then. Obviously, anything that anything that they're wanting to do right now could obviously be changed, and my clients would obviously oppose a permanent change such as a zoning characteristic change at this time. My clients, I believe some of them have put their names on to speak, so if you have any specific questions, you can obviously direct those to them. Thank you.
Sherry Crawford?
Do you swear or otherwise affirm to tell the truth, please say I do?
I do. I grew up in that subdivision. I've lived there 64 years of my life. And I've watched it grow. The bank has caused a lot of traffic problems in itself, so we don't need any more traffic coming in there. Even if it's only a car or two a day, it's still more traffic. Also, getting in off that into the subdivision at times is very, very difficult. You know, you've got a bank on one side, a bank on the other side, and the shades. And a lot of times I'm sitting there hoping they're not going to run into me as they come down that turn lane. So we do not need any more traffic at all in that subdivision. So I'm against the zoning change. And like Alex said, you don't know what's going to be there in the future if it gets changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Sue Tierney?
Do you swear or otherwise affirm to tell the truth, please say I do?
I do. I am Mary Sue Tierney, and I'm one of the residents that has property right next to this property. I've been there 50 years. We went through this 2 years ago. They wanted to rezone it then as commercial. There's no logic behind this. There's plenty of commercial property in Maysville, already zoned commercial, one of which is right there on 68. You know, it's good property access. We are very concerned about the traffic. I'm concerned about it building a shop that who knows what time of the night they would be in there working. They may have their hours of operation, but that doesn't mean that they're leaving at home to go home that night. We are, concerned because I have 15 feet from my house to the property line. I really don't want something right next to me, that's not a nice structure. So for that reason and many, many more, I really, really appreciate putting yourself in our shoes as property owners adjoining this property, and please deny this application. Thank you.
Christine Hunter?
Do you swear or otherwise affirm to tell the truth, please say I do?
I do. My name is Christina Hunter. We live on 1161 Miller Avenue, so it's the corner lot between Miller and Valentine. So I take Valentine to get home every day. We are opposed to the zoning change as well. I do believe that there are plenty of commercial property opportunities in Maysville. There's some on Tucker Drive. I'm not sure about the status of the old car wash next to Arby's. If you all could ask that to be for sale. There's plenty of spaces for lease. There's a bunch of stuff in the Bluegrass. The Bluegrass Shopping Center, the old Southern States has places to lease if that would be an option, but we are opposed to it. Thank you.
Courtney Flagg?
Do you swear or otherwise affirm to tell the truth, please say I do?
I do. My name is Courtney Bragg. My husband and I own and reside with our 2 children at 509 Valentine Drive. We are one of 3 residential properties that share a property line with 1147 US 6268. My family has owned and resided at our current residence for over 60 years. We are currently remodeling and updating our home so we are able to grow with our family. We have spoken to 3 realtors local to Maysville, and they have assured us that adding a business beside our property will not only decrease our property value, but the homes in Country Club Heights and Valentine Drive. We have concern for safety due to increased foot and vehicle traffic that comes along with any new business. At the previous rezoning meeting, the entrance to the new business was to be on Valentine Drive, which is also a majority of People's Bank traffic that enters there. There was also Hoibu Trucking that is at the back end of Valentine Drive, and this entrance is the only entrance that they use for their business. We would like for this property to remain residential. Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak? Not hearing anything. Need a motion? Is there any questions? Anybody got any questions?
And I don't know if you'll allow me to address some of those issues that
Go ahead.
brought up, but BMC has spent a year and a half looking at different properties and places to go. To say that there's lots of commercial rental out there, it is not exactly correct. And I beg people to have tried to find places as they have. Yeah. They do not intend to resell, and I don't know why this is being floated. They've had one location 50 years, they've had another location 20 years. They are long-term residents where they're at. Given where this property is located, at some point, I cannot imagine it's not going to be commercial property. What they're trying to do is to minimize the impact of that commercial property and also meet some of the concerns of the neighbors by putting up appropriate fencing or even landscaping if they want, to try to appease some of those concerns that they would have. So we would just again ask that it be rezoned as commercial.
I need a motion to allow the public hearing back into regular meeting. John? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're back in regular meeting. Is there any comments, questions we need to discuss?
Well, I've got my staff report if you all want to talk about that. This rezone.
His recommendation.
Well, this is something I remind you all every time we have a map amendment public hearing, is that you're not approving the proposed use, you're approving the change from one zoning classification to another and whether or not that's appropriate. The purchaser might be long-term clients, but eventually another owner will probably have it. And if it changes to commercial, then anything that's listed in the zoning ordinance that is possible there could be a future land use there. Concerning buffering and screening, the zoning ordinance requires a 20-foot buffer strip. The owner has discretion on how to fulfill those requirements, whether it's green screening and or fencing, but whenever commercial abuts residential land use or a single-family dwelling, that is required. Let's see, what else do I talk about here? So, in terms of the requirements for you all to be able to say yes, KRS 100.213, you have the what I call the three-prong test. And I did lay out that I thought that you all had discretion as to whether or not you could find that it meets at least one of those prongs, but it doesn't meet it. One is it's along the most well-trafficked stretch of highway in Mason County, which that's assuming that it's also in the entire 5-county area. And there's quite a lot of commercial along that stretch of land. It's completely commercial on the other side. It's about half commercial on the side where the properties are located. It's basically right on the border of the two, so it wouldn't be considered spot zoning. Let's see here. Right, so it does show on the map that it's residential.
You have that as well.
Right, exactly. So I did mention, talking about potential impact, that there would be buffering required, screening required, that might mitigate some or all of the, expected negative impacts to the surrounding properties. Traffic and public safety is still something to consider. There are 2 entrances on the property, but also there's a bank right on the other side of Valentine Drive that does the same thing. It may increase traffic, it may not. That intersection is served only by a stop sign. So yeah, do y'all have any other concerns or anything you want to discuss with the staff?
How long has this property been for sale?
That I don't know. I can tell you that this is mentioned in the staff report. There was an attempt to rezone it back in October 2018, 5.5 years ago.
That brings up the question, that's the point I was wanting you to make while ago, George. It was brought up in 2018. What has changed between 2018 and 2024? Has anything physically changed? Has it been widened? Anything changed?
I know that there was, I think it was mentioned, there was some work done with the sewage and drainage.
Drainage issues, but everything's changed.
Yeah.
Right, as far as traffic pattern, nothing's changed.
Well, so when I looked up, I don't think there were any traffic count data for Valentine Drive. When I looked up the traffic counts for that strip of US 6268, it was between 14,000 and 15,000 vehicles every day back in, I think it was 2022. That's actually less than it was when I got the traffic counts back in 2018. So the traffic did decrease there along the highway between 2018 or I don't know when those figures were, it might have been 2016 or 2017 to 2022. Also something I mentioned, and this is addressed in the chapter in the zoning ordinance that talks about screening and buffering, that pretty much all the other commercial land on that side of the highway has a road behind it separating it from the residential land. This particular land does not have that. In the buffering and screening chapter, that 20-foot buffer strip can be replaced by the roadway. But they still have to screen. But the roadway would take up the buffer strip because most roads are at least 20 feet. Do y'all have any other questions about my staff report?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Right. Back in 2018, they were trying to put in a laundromat and a restaurant.
Restaurant.
So I just put that out to you.
No.
On that big lot? Okay. I can't remember. Just like drive by every day.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 2 lots, so certainly.
There's 2 lots, it's just
Big
one house,
Yeah.
one little one.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, I need a motion to either accept or deny the request for a map check.
And rationale for
Yep.
I'll understand and say that I would have confidence in the prior judgment and to deny it due to the fact that there is no control. Once it's changed, it's changed. And these folks are going to be at the mercy of it, so I would deny it. I put a motion to deny.
Okay,
I'll say.
motion on the floor to deny the application, do I have a second?
why? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
So I'm understanding, are you in essence saying that it's inconsistent with, to accept it with the proposed change is inconsistent with the residential side of things? Is that what you meant by these folks would be at the mercy of?
Yeah.
Okay.
You satisfied with that?
And let me stress another thing is that this has been up before. And I've asked the point specifically, has anything changed? And nothing's changed. So whatever they used to support it before, and I'm sure it was at the sympathy of the homeowners. And I would hate for this board to put the grievance upon never how many, 5 years, 10 years down the road when property does change, and then you've got major issues. We should put that burden on the not at this time.
Gonna do a motion.
So, as stated, this motion is to deny the rezoning application. So, voting in the affirmative would be in support of a denial. Voting in the negative would be to not support the motion. And if it fails, then there would have to be a subsequent motion approved. Do you all understand? John Hutchings.
Yes.
John Best.
No.
Leslie Myers.
No.
Kirby Rosser.
Yes.
Libby Phillips.
Yes.
Gerald Woods.
Yes.
Wait a minute, I'm confused.
Okay.
Yes means it's denied.
Oh, I want to vote yes, I'm sorry.
Let's start over again.
Sorry about that.
So the vote, if you vote yes, your vote to deny the application, they stay as is.
I should let you explain it.
You did the old double negative. That's very confusing.
What he said. John Hutchings.
Yes.
John Best.
No.
Leslie Myers.
Yes.
Kirby Rosser.
Yes.
Libby Phillips.
Yes.
Gerald Woods.
Yes.
Okay. The motion passed to deny the rezoning. 5 to 1. Now, because the city adopted KRS 100.2111, which is the alternative zoning regulation, it changes the process for what happens next. So at the next meeting, this body will approve the findings of fact, and under KRS 100.2111, if no aggrieved party or the city commission itself requests this happen, after 21 days, your decision becomes law. So if you would wish for it to go in front of the city commission, then you submit a letter to me and I'll communicate this to you. Just contact me this week or next week. You still have until the next meeting plus 3 weeks to make that request. Okay. So just wanted to explain that to everyone.
And for the general public's purposes, what that means is normally this is a recommendation to the city. And the city would have to make the final decision. But because the change in law, this can be treated as the final decision if no formal objection has been made by the applicant, in other words. So it's basically, we're still in a waiting pattern.
Virtually every other municipality in Kentucky still does it the other way. We just have to be there. Okay?
Okay. Next on the agenda is Mason County Conservation District, and we have a cultural district proposal. We don't really have to do anything.
No, they are statutorily required
To let us know.
to let you know and ask for comments. And I'd like to contact Lloyd by Wednesday the 17th, which is 2 weeks from tonight, and say, if you have comments, or usually it's just, you guys.
That's where we're at right now. Unless somebody has what comment? No?
You all, are you?
We're okay with it.
You're generally in support of it?
Generally.
Do you have any? Aren't you on this?
I am.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything? Because we usually go through the process.
I will add this, that law, I think, is sitting in the Senate right now to be changed. Right now, it's 250 contiguous acres to form an ag district. The proposal is to reduce it to 50 acres, so we may start seeing a lot more of these coming if it passes.
So is this different from what we did to the North Fork area that was here a few months ago, what you all did? With
No.
some of the piles, it's a different thing.
No, it ain't, it's the same thing, I think. They have to notify us,
Yeah, that's,
they have to notify us.
Yeah.
And we can comment on it, or just say,
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, is what, is this itself similar to the ag district that was renewed?
Yeah, this would
in the
be
North Fork
creating,
area?
I think there's 6 that are already in place.
something like that.
And then this would be adding.
And they have to be renewed every 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think maybe the last time they amended it. And then this time they established it. So you all are just thumbs up.
Yep. All right, comprehensive plan update.
Okay, so in your packets, you all have the abbreviated version of the proposed goals and objectives that Dr. Davis authored and the steering committee looked at last week. I think I sent you all this in an email plus the unabbreviated version that has like lots of the comments and lots of the data. That monstrosity was like 52 pages. That's why it's not in your packets. But so we had a meeting last week, and there were no issues with these. The next step is there are subcommittees that are going to be assembled, and at least 2 members of this body were recommended for that. So subcommittee heads were assigned. I actually have, under community facilities, I have Parks and Rec. And so between now and the end of May, there should be a couple meetings, at least 2 meetings for each subject.
Did you report those dates out? So if we wanted to attend those.
Well, it's up to the individual.
Chair.
Yeah, it's kind of just like everybody's now going to their corner and they're going to do the work and then bring it back to the city. So the first meeting will be to assemble your super group per subject and talk about the goals and objectives, and then document any work that's either being done or already planned to be done. And then the second meeting should take place maybe 3 weeks later, during which there will be using the expertise from those experts, reasonable strategies for achieving each of the objectives. For each of the objectives, there should be no more than 3 strategies to do that. So that's what we're in right now. By the May 31st, there should be a report sent to me, and I'll forward it to Allison, and then we're meeting in June sometime. I can't remember the date that it shows. It was one of the first meetings in June. And I think Kirby, you were recommended to be on. You weren't able to be there, but you were recommended to be on the ag group. And then, actually, I think Linda, you were too. I think you were on the list. And those were recommendations from the steering committee. Depending on availability or desire to serve, or whoever, and Zandy is the head of that. So some people from this body might be, contacted for that if you've got expertise in any of the theme areas. The one that doesn't have goals and objectives yet is land use and the environment, because that kind of will happen after all of these are done. So, any questions?
Moving on, medical cannabis.
Okay, so where's mine? Community fund? Yeah. I'm a wash the paper too. Okay, so you all may have heard that last year the state approved medical cannabis, which will become legal in next year. And so basically everybody is trying to figure out how to deal with it. As a matter of fact, there are still some laws that they're trying to change. They're trying to pass to change the original laws that they passed. Basically, every municipality has the ability to choose to just not have it in their municipality or say yes. And at that point, then you can do it with municipal codes or zoning. City manager and I have talked about it, and we want to put something in front of, as soon as possible, the city commission to deal with it using zoning. So what I'm looking to do is hopefully have something next month for you all to take a look at, and then pass a motion to have a public hearing at the next meeting. One of the reasons why we want to get this done relatively quickly is that I was on a call with KLC. They had an online Zoom meeting that had like almost 200 people on it. Like each track that I think there was some. So starting January 1st of next year, people who want to actually operate one of these businesses can start applying. Well, if you haven't gotten things relatively situated, if let's say your municipality, somebody in your municipality starts applying on January 1st, and you haven't decided yet, and you say no on February 1st, if they get approval, they still get to do it. They're basically effectively grandfathered. Now, there's a law that they were putting together that they talked about. They were trying to move that date back to August 1st of this year. So the easier way would be for the municipalities to just decide yes or no, and then figure out how they're going to do it. But we're just going to go ahead and put something there so that can be part of their decision making.
I would be glad to answer any concerns or any questions you guys may have. My husband is Eric Crawford, and we wrote the medical cannabis bills along with our Senator and Representative Jason Nemeth. We've been going to Frankfurt for about 13 years. Just on this issue, my husband's on the governor's task force regarding this. I do know that there are a couple of bills that are still in play because we don't expect the governor to veto whatever. So we're kind of hoping and praying the last 2 days of session coming up will have some action, and honestly, we are expecting that, but Frankfurt is a really crazy place, so you just can't ever expect any, you can't count the chickens before they hatch. But some of the, Mason County was the first county in Kentucky, I'll just share, to send a resolution supporting medical cannabis, and also the city of Maysville was the first city in the state that sent a resolution to Frankfurt supporting medical cannabis. And we are hopeful that, that there will be, Mason County Maysville, both will allow, medical cannabis to be businesses to come in, all of the different businesses, and just some of the things for zoning wise, and where these businesses would be. In July of this year, they're going to come out with some really hard regulations about licensing and regulations as far as what's allowed, what's not allowed. Some things that I do know that would not be allowed. It wouldn't be allowed to be like 1,000 feet from a school or a daycare. We could even do something like church. Some states do not near churches, but there will be major security regulations as far as hours of operation and what cameras and the security that will have to be implemented in these businesses. So it's not just going to be like you just rent a place anywhere to do this. They're going to have to be specific. The state will make some sort of laws regarding that, and there's not going to be like people, marijuana leaves blowing in the wind, advertising wise and such. That's not it. And also, I have some friends, and I'm friends with people at the Kentucky League of Cities also, and I have been in on those meetings, and they tend to, stress areas about regulating things, businesses, and to be ready because it's coming full-fledged and all of that. But I just want to share with my people here in Mason County that Kentucky is a commonwealth, and all of these states that are full-fledged, everybody doing it, they are not commonwealths. And our legislators that we have, I don't think are ever going to, it's going to be, 15 years before that is ever, we're not ever going to be a Colorado or a Michigan. It's just, this is Kentucky, and it's just not going to happen for many, many years, regardless of what people like to think that it is. I mean, just from my experience, I've gone to Frankfurt on a very regular basis and having deep relationships with our lawmakers, and that's not happening anytime soon in Kentucky. So we're hopeful, and my husband and I will do whatever we need to do. We have no desire to be in the business. When we started this, we tried to let everyone know that's not our goal. My husband is just sick, and we don't want to be viewed as criminals is our whole purpose of this. But we would love to be able to get my husband a nice, tested, safe product here without having to drive to the city, Lexington, or northern Kentucky. And I just feel like that, if you guys in the zoning and planning, are open-minded to it, I don't expect, that it's any sort of medical cannabis. And my vision is not for it to just be, next door to the daycare or next door to our schools. We want to protect our children as much as we can, even though they can go to the local gas stations and see all kinds of stuff. But,
Well, we appreciate that. I think we'll have a lot to look at.
Right, and I think, in my discussions with the city manager, because of those resolutions and local advocacy, that this body will operate under the assumption that this body should just, approval for whether or not to have it should lie with the city commission. This body will just do its job to try to craft something that is as good as possible. Another thing that we were thinking about, but after being on the telecon, the Commonwealth of Kentucky defines cannabis business as everything from growing all the way to selling. Most people are just thinking about where it's going to be sold.
Right.
But they say anything that's chemical, growing, harvesting, processing, testing, and selling.
Right. There
All
will
that
be
stuff.
a processor. Any cannabis, medical cannabis that's cultivated or grown will be a cultivator, and those are depending on how many square feet. All of those will be in an enclosed, locked facility. As I said, with all of these, it's not going to be like out in the field like the hemp was. It's going to be in a controlled environment. Also, there will be a safety compliance center. That's where all cannabis will have to go to be tested for heavy metals and poisons and dangerous chemicals that sick people don't need. And then that safety compliance will also, provide some labeling on that that tells you the percentages of the different cannabinoids in that product. And then there's a processor. And the processor, I don't know if y'all even care, but the processor would take the actual cannabis plant and process it into something, whether that be a salve or an edible or a vape product. There's many pills. There's many ways cannabis is consumed medically. And then there would be a dispensary, and that's where the patient would go and buy that. And so there's lots of business opportunities, and we might not have them all. And we might have, a couple, or we might be the capital of Kentucky as far as cannabis goes, and that would make me proud.
Okay. Anything else on that discussion? All right, as a reminder, 2425 HB 55 training is Thursday, May 9th at 8:30 at the Mason County Public Library. We'll have a motion to adjourn.
I have a question.
Sure.
How long is the training session on that day?
Well, it's listed as 8:30 to 5, but usually it ends by like 3 o'clock.
And if you sit till 3, they'll probably let you leave anyway.
If something, I'm sorry, what?
I said if you sit till 3, they'll probably let you leave. You can sneak out easy. All right, a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
All right, Leslie, do I have a second?
I'm going out.
Second.
John, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for